What is up, guys? EJ here, aka FORKERBALL 007, and welcome to the Movie Reviewers 100, this great collaboration channel on YouTube that I'm proud to be a part of, or the channel that gives you new themes each week, as our fearless leader Alan would say. But yesterday he wasn't able to make a video, so I am actually leading off this week. And this week's theme is Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr., a very good actor, of course, has had an interesting career, sort of a rise and fall, and then rise up again. Broke through in the 80s. I still remember him from Weird Science. Had a small but pretty funny part in that movie. And then, of course, he went on to make more significant films. Most notably Chaplin in 1992, which he was nominated for an Oscar for, which I believe James is going to cover later this week. And then he sort of disappeared for a while, and then sprung back to life in the mid to late 2000s, of course, with films like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I know a lot of people like. I thought it was okay, I didn't love it. But of course he really is broken into a big star now as Tony Stark and Iron Man in the Iron Man movies and the Avengers, and of course he plays Sherlock Holmes in the new Sherlock Holmes films. So yeah, very versatile actor. He proved that in Tropic Thunder, that's for sure. Yeah, had his issues, like I said, in that middle period, in and out of rehab, I believe. So the film I want to talk about is quintessentially 80s, and sort of reflects part of his life, and that's the 1987 film Less Than Zero. It's produced by John Avnet, and the film is directed by, I want to read this, make sure I get it right, Marek Kaniewska. I don't know who that is as a director offhand, and I haven't been bothered to look up what else he's done. The film, of course, stars Robert Downey Jr., Andrew McCarthy, and Jamie Gertz. Now, this is not your sort of warm and fuzzy, nostalgic 80s movies starring the usual Brat Packers. And of course, some of these actors were in those Brat Pack movies, most notably Robert Downey Jr., like I said, and Andrew McCarthy. In this film, the three of them play high school friends. The film starts off on graduation day in high school in Los Angeles, and they're sort of each going their separate ways. Andrew McCarthy and Jamie Gertz are going out, boyfriend and girlfriend, but Andrew McCarthy is going off to college, while Robert Downey Jr. is sort of foregoing colleges. He's a bit of a party guy. He's trying to break into the record music industry. And Jamie Gertz, well-known actress, been in lots of films and television. She sort of plays the mom role now in TV and movies these days. You might remember her from Twister. She plays, like I said, Andrew McCarthy's girlfriend, and she's going to go be a fashion model. So they go their separate ways. Basically, McCarthy and Gertz break up, and she ends up hooking up with the best friend, played by Robert Downey Jr. And then 6 months later, we pick up the story when Andrew McCarthy comes home from school to find out that his best friend has a major drug problem. And that's basically the gist of the film, because it's about Robert Downey Jr.'s descent into despair as a junkie, as a addict. His girlfriend Jamie Gertz is very concerned about him, but she's using herself. She's doing coke at parties and stuff like that. But Robert Downey Jr. is borrowing lots of money. He's estranged from his family. His father doesn't want anything to do with him. They break up. Jamie Gertz basically hooks back up with Andrew McCarthy once he gets back into town. So it's sort of a love triangle, as well as a story about addiction and Robert Downey Jr.'s descent into sort of this very low and not a very pretty place. It's a really good performance by Robert Downey Jr. Not a lot of people talk about this movie, especially when you talk about 80s movies. It's definitely not for, like I said, it's not really your warm and fuzzy nostalgic Brat Pack movie. It's very much more mature than that. Also stars another famous Brat Packer, and that is James Spader. James Spader, of course, appeared in Pretty in Pink and films like that, and is now a pretty well-known television star. Been around in movies for a long time. He's got a new show on, I believe, called The Blacklist. He basically plays Robert Downey Jr.'s dealer in this, and he basically has been giving Robert Downey Jr. drugs and loaning him money, which puts Robert Downey Jr. even in more deeper and deeper trouble. The film is actually very sort of surreal in parts. It's a good looking film, really nice photography. Jamie Gertz, even though she looks basically the same, you can see it's a younger version of her, and she plays a model, so she's really sort of decked out, if you like. She looks good in this film. It's very 80s though. The music and the costumes are very much of the 80s style, so it's a film that doesn't really sort of transcend to modern day as far as the look goes. But yeah, the look is really good. There's lots of sort of interesting colors, blues and reds. Sort of has a sort of dark, not really a dark atmosphere, but sort of foreboding, surrealistic atmosphere to it. There's some really good scenes that I've always liked in this film. One scene in particular is the first night that Jamie Gertz and Andrew McCarthy hook back up at this nightclub after she sort of gets tossed away by Robert Downey Jr. They're going back home in his red convertible. I think it's a Corvette. And they start making out in the car, and then he stops in the middle of the road, and she sort of climbs on top of him. Like I said, it's an adult film more or less, but not in the XXX variety. But it's they start making out in the car in the middle of the road. The car is stopped, and then all of a sudden, this huge, massive bikers go riding by on either side of them. She's on top of him, making out with him, and all these this motorcycle gang is riding by. Something about that scene and that shot always interested me. But yeah, it's a interesting film, very sort of reflective of Robert Downey Jr.'s life, at least up to a point. But of course, he redeemed himself in this past decade or so. Really good actor, Robert Downey Jr. And my pick, Less Than Zero from 1987. So make sure you check out all the other guys' reviews this week. Like I said, James is going to be looking at Chaplin. Really great film from 1992. So thank you for watching as always, and until next time, I'll see ya.
Bond. James Bond.